Okay, this is gonna be at the beginning of the video. The audio is messed up for like the first 15 minutes. Probably gonna be less once I time lapse some stuff. Um, I just want to let you know it gets better. I promise. I'm sorry. It's just my mic. It sounds like reverby. But that's not gonna happen here on out. I just mess with some stuff. I'm kind of new at this, so I apologize for that. Thank you. Enjoy. All right, let's try this for the millionth time. Um, so yeah, welcome to what will probably be like a 8 to 10 part series of how to make a Spider-Man suit this year. I'm gonna go with a 6-piece classic Ditko suit. It's gonna be a little bit modernized, but for the most part, I mean, all the elements will be there. I mean, it'll be red and black, and it'll have the Ditko face shape and lens shape and all that. But yeah, the reason I'm doing this is because most people don't know where to start, and all the information isn't there on how to like puff paint and 3D model and all that stuff in one place. And it's kind of like the RPF almost, where you used to be able to learn all this stuff, but now it's just you have to search through so much stuff to find what you need. And kind of a reason why I made my Discord server, you can just ask for help and get a response almost right away. So a link to that will be in the description, along with a link to this base head that you can work with. You probably need some fundamental like skills in Blender to follow along, but I mean, I have my keys down here that you can see when I press MC, so you shouldn't have too big of a problem. Anyway, so let's get started. Obviously, this head, I mean, it's not a face shell, so yeah, let's get started with that. So to begin, we need to actually smooth it out to get the right face shape. So we're going to duplicate this, and then we're going to hide it. So that's just so we can basically make sure we have a consistent scale, because this is scaled to a 23-inch head. To scale it up to like a 24-inch head, you would go to the Items tab, click on your head shape, and go 1.05. That scales it up 5% everywhere, and that's about a 24-inch head. It's close enough. And to do 22 inches, 5% down. So anyway, yeah. So let's make the face shape for now. So we're gonna duplicate this, like I said, hide it by pressing H, you can see down here. And then we're gonna go to the Sculpting tab, because, I mean, it would be pretty hard to do this without sculpting. So you can hold Shift to do your, I guess it doesn't show my buttons in here, but you can hold Shift to use your smooth tool, or you can just click on it. So you want to smooth this out, turn on mirror, you want that because you want it to be symmetrical. Turn up the strength a little, probably a lot actually. And basically we need to smooth out all these facial features because you don't want those on a face show. Not too much, but you know, a good amount, because Spider-Man, you can't see his nose and ears and all that. So we're just going to get rid of that. So here's the smoothed out head. What I like to do is remesh, add a remesh modifier every time, but this head is actually working pretty well, so I'm not going to do that. We want to smooth out all this stuff because it looks kind of like, you know, bad. You want your models to be pretty smooth just because that's what looks nice. So that nose is pretty much gone. Remember, we need this head. Obviously, that's not the right size anymore. What I like to do is scale this up a little. Right click and click Set Origin to Geometry. Just scale it up a little, and just because it's trying to go over top of the head and it doesn't want to clip through it. So we're going to go back to Sculpting, and let's start with the side view. So grab your Elastic Deform tool. Derek Cackle showed me to use that instead of the grab tool, because as you can see, it moves kind of everything, whereas the grab tool just moves like a specific spot and it looks kind of bad. But yeah, anyway, use the Elastic Deform tool and kind of make whatever face shape you want. So I'm going to do that now. And it would probably be good to have like a reference for this, but I've done it for so long. So I like the defined chin right here for this Ditko thing I'm going to go for. So that should be good. Obviously, when you look at it from the front, it's not going to be perfect. but obviously we're going to change that. So first things first, Spidey has a pretty round head shape. So you're going to want to fix these temples right here. Bring them out a little. You can even use your smooth by holding shift and keep just messing with that. I like a pretty rounded shape. That's probably good. Smooth out these lips a little more. And then you want to grab the nose by like here and kind of pull it out like that. And that'll give you a better shape there. You want to grab your cheekbones and pull them out a little. Bring the cheeks in a little. That's a little too much on the cheekbones there. Yeah. Bring the eyes in a tiny bit. You're kind of just making like what you think a mask over a face would look like. Like you don't want it to be too defined because then it'll look weird. But yeah. Maybe bring the cheek out a little. You don't want the jaw to be too sharp, but you also don't want it to be too round. So you kind of got to find like a nice middle ground. Yeah. I feel like this nose is not brought in enough right here. So I'm gonna bring that in, gives it more of a, the Ditko's face is pretty refined compared to like I don't know, like the MCU or most of the movie suits. Comic suits are usually, you can see like the facial features a little better. So I'm gonna go with something like this. And you just kind of just keep smoothing out, bringing stuff in and out. Yeah, so I think I'm gonna run with this right here. It's a pretty good shape. Maybe bring in the cheek a little right here, give it more of a realistic shape. But as far as face shape goes, you can tinker with this for hours. Derek really showed me how to make a good face shape, so yeah. The one I worked on with Derek is probably better than this, because I worked on that for like an hour. But I mean, I'm not trying to sculpt for an hour. I'm trying to make a tutorial so you guys can learn. You can work on your face shape as much as you like. But yeah, so that's probably pretty good. Then I kind of like to smooth the whole thing out a little. Yeah, I'm probably going to time lapse this part right here. Alright, so this is probably pretty good. You got nice cheekbones, a nose, everything you pretty much want. I feel like the point of the nose is a little too big, so we're going to bring that out. That's better. Smooth it out, and let's just call this finished. So, next thing I like to do is add the shape of the cutout I'm going to do. So we need to add a curve. So we're going to do a Bezier curve. Scale it up so you can see it. Hit R, and then Y, and then 90 to rotate it 90 degrees on the Y-axis, of course. And then hit 3, or you can click this thing up here if you don't have a numpad. Just make sure you got a side view. It doesn't really matter what side. I just more used to this side over here. And so yeah, we are gonna go transparent, and then we're gonna shape this. So you can just rotate it and scale it, and it's basically like the path tool in Photoshop, if you know what that is. If not, don't worry about it. It doesn't really matter. So obviously you need one where the shell is gonna end, and then you need one where the shell is going to start. And then you can click between these two, right click and hit S, and they'll subdivide it. And then you can make this as like the earpiece right here, and then you can make your jaw come down if you'd like, make this go up. I personally like to curve my shells a little like this, where it looks like it goes around the ear. I just think it looks nice. So we're gonna do that. So here's this shape here. Once again, you can tinker with that for hours. I'm not going to. So hit tab again to go back into object mode. Right click and click, where are you at? Convert to, and then mesh. Hit tab to go back into edit mode, hit A. As you can see, it's a mesh now. You can hit 1, 2, or 3 to change your mode. Extrude by hitting E and then X on the X-axis. And then hit A, G, then X. Once again, you can see all my keys down here. I guess you can't see when I hit X, but that's fine. And then basically you can see right here you have a the shape right there, but it kind of looks really blocky. That might look bad. So what we're gonna do is, actually, you see right here, this curves in a little. I don't really like that. I like my shells to kind of smooth out with the face. So we may bring this up a little. So how we can do that, if we can go back into edit mode and hit 2, and then grab the actual edge, press O, hit G, and then you can scroll to change like how much it influences, as you can see here. And then obviously we're gonna need to bring that back down because we don't want it to end there. So yeah, that was just a personal thing that I wanted to change. But anyway, this is blocky. We need to smooth it out. So we're gonna hit Subdivision Surface, and we're just gonna turn it up a little. Don't go too much. If you don't have a beefy PC, it will lag you out. So then now we want to select these corner edges, and you can do that by holding Shift and Alt. That selects the whole edge. If you just hold Shift, it just selects one. We obviously need all of them. If you want to see what you're doing in real time, you can click this, and then it changes what you're, like, it shows what's happening. So I select them all, hit Shift and E at the same time, and just drag that out, and it'll get you your corners back. Just looks nicer in my opinion. Now what we can do is we can apply the subdivision surface, go back into edit mode, and extrude this. Now we have the cutout. If you guys like this little corner thing, your blender probably looks different. You can go up here, just click cavity. It'll add the nice little highlights, makes it look a little nicer while you're working. So basically we're gonna click this, add modifier, Boolean, difference, and fast. And then we're gonna click right here. And what is going on here? This thing's normals are probably improper, so we're gonna check face orientation. Red is bad, blue is good. Obviously there's a problem, so I'm gonna click on this, hit tab, hit A, mesh, normals, recalculate it outside, and then it should turn blue. As you can see, it's blue. I mean, it's kind of clipping up here, but you know, whatever, it'll be all right. You actually won't be able to see that if I change this clipping start to 1. It's technical, it doesn't really matter what that means. So now we need to find our Faceshell. Where are you at? So I guess it's still having a problem with it. So let's see what we can do here. Maybe we can do an exact instead of a fast. So always save before you do stuff like this. Yeah. Because you never know what's going to happen. It could crash. Obviously it works. So we're going to go to the head now. And as you can see, this sticks out way too far over here. And same with over here. So what I like to do is, what you can do is you can apply this. And then you can go to Sculpting. And then what I like to do is take my little elastic deform and kind of make the, like, what you'd think a facial would be, like 2 millimeters. Just kind of eyeball it to get like a good even shape around the outside. This part by the ear doesn't really matter too much. You just kind of want it to fit your face. And then you want to pull your chin back a little so your chin has somewhere to rest. And then obviously you're going to have to bring it back over here to get the right shape. So that's that. And then also right now, if you want, you can edit your facial shape a little bit. So I feel like that's too close to the ear. So I can grab this and pull it up. And I like a shape more than like that. So as far as that goes, that's the actual shell right there. So yeah. Alright, this is where we're starting with the fixed audio. So I went back and watched the other thing and I was like, dang, that's messed up. Okay. How about back to the important stuff? Who cares about your mic, Zach? So this is where we left off. We're going to import some images because, I mean, you want lenses for your facial, right? So we're going to go add, image, and reference. So go to your desktop or wherever you have your images saved. I just named them Ditko. So we're going to scale these up. And they import whichever way you're looking. So you kind of want to be flat when you're looking. Yeah, so it's kind of weird how it does it, but I don't know why. So we're just going to get both of these because, you know, I said I'm doing a Ditko shell, so I might as well do a Ditko shell, right? So these are like two different styles that it was drawn. We got like this pointier one, and then we have this. So I think I'm going to combine the two. Make the lens shape a little smaller like this, and then the frame is going to be pointier like this one. So let's start. How do we start with this? Add a curve, and it's going to be a circle. Kind of like my last tutorial, but this is like, I'm so much better at it now. That was like, what, almost 2 years ago? So we are going to, you can double tap R to get this, by the way. It kind of pivots around its own origin, whereas the other one pivots depending on your view. This kind of just lets you do whatever. Double tapping R. So we're going to move this around. And we are going to put it about there. Add a modifier, and it's going to be shrink wrap. Add that right there, and bam, look, it's stuck. So that's good. Add a mirror modifier as well, because that's going to help out. You want to kind of have two. Spider-Man has two lenses, right? Except for right here. So now what we want to do is go into edit mode, hit tab. Hit O again to turn off this weird rotation thing. So you want to rotate that. And then people do it differently. I like to make a trace, like a sketch of my thing before I actually model it. So we're going to scale this down. This is going to be the point of the inside. And this is going to be really rough right now. But anyway, just move these around, scale them. Don't double tap R for this, use the single tap. And then we can just basically scale this one down all the way to make a point on this side. And there's that. Now what you want to do is go out of edit mode, apply your shrink wrap, and then add the shrink wrap again, because it's weird. Like, now it's actually this shape. Before it was like a weird shape. So bam, it'll look a little better. Now what we need to do is just kind of like try to copy your shape to the best of your ability. What I like to do is look at the tip of the curve, or the apex of the curve almost, and kind of try to copy it. So this one's kind of over here on the inside. Turn on transparent mode if that helps, and get rid of your head. And scaling it down makes the curve tighter. Scaling it up makes the curve like looser, I guess. This is obviously up here, so we're gonna move it up. And then this seems to be about here. And this curve's pretty big, so we're gonna do that. You can click on each point as well and move it. Like this needs to go this way, but if I scale it, it moves both of them. So you can just click this, hit G, and drag it. If you hold Shift, it does slow movements. If you don't, it does faster movements when you move your mouse. So yeah. You're probably wondering, how do we get this curve right here? Because, I mean, that doesn't look very good. So what we need to do is click these both, right click, and hit subdivide, or S. I usually hit S. And then what we can do is drag this down, and there's a curve. We can drag this in a little, kind of do whatever you want. Make sure you keep looking at different views, because like that looked good from the side, right? But from the front, it looks really derpy. And although he can look kind of derpy sometimes, I mean, come on. We're trying to make a cool looking Spider-Man suit, right? Not a derpy looking Spider-Man suit. So now you kind of just mess around with the shape. Might time lapse this, not sure. You guys are probably wondering why I'm not tracing the images. Because it's art, it's a comic. It is, it's different in almost every panel. They're not using like I mean, maybe they're tracing their own art. I don't know. I'm not a comic artist. But like, it's not going to be the exact same. It's art. So it's more going to be kind of your own, what you perceive it as. Like someone's Bagley face shell may be different than someone else's, because there's several different artists working on like Ultimate Spider-Man, for example. So like, yeah, it's going to be totally different than what someone else's interpretation of that shell might be. So don't be worried if yours doesn't look like someone else's, because you guys all will have different interpretations of what the shell may look like. Don't expect your first shell to be perfect. Mine definitely wasn't. If you scroll back on my page, you'll see that. So it has kind of like this curve up here. So I'm going to copy that. And you can hit A and then G to kind of move your shell or frame around all the way. And the lenses are pretty squinty. So I'm going to try to get that shape going. It looks like it does kind of thicken up in the back a little, so we want that. But as far as the actual lens shape, it looks kind of squintier than what I'm used to making. You can also rotate the whole frame if needed. It seems like I don't really need that here, but just a good thing to know. Alright, that looks pretty good. So we are going to leave that, and then obviously we need to make another shape. So we're going to add another circle. Make sure you're out of edit mode when you do this, or it's going to like kind of merge them together and be weird. I don't know. Just make sure it's a separate object over here, and it's not on like the same object layer, I guess you could call it. Because, you know, that's no good. So we got to scale this down as before. Scale this down once again as before. And then just kind of put these in their general areas. Add the mirror modifier. Same thing as before. It's pretty much the same thing. Apply the shrink wrap. Add another shrink wrap. We're in business. Alright, so usually for Spider-Man facials, what you do is have this really pointy right here, like a sharp point. But Ditko looks kind of smooth. So I'm gonna let this be pretty smooth right here, just to get that look. And then it looks like almost there is a curve right here, and it ends down here. So we're gonna scale this down, and we need a curve between these two. Subdivide it, and bring that up. And then it looks like almost like this comes up a lot because there's a big fat black section right there. I'm basically copying this outside and this inside. So we want to bring this up. And we need to scale this down a little. Yeah, so basically you're just going to have to move stuff around a bunch once again. And yeah. Remember, you can grab each thing by itself. You don't have to grab both at the same time. So you can scale this down if need be. Scale this down if need be. Yeah. Just have fun with it. Alright. So that is pretty good right here. Now what we need to do is we can hide these pictures because we don't really need them anymore. We have our shape. Add a plane. Add mesh plane. Hit tab, A, delete, and then vertices. Turn on this magnet and make sure it's on face. That means that when you hold control and then right click, make sure you're on this right here, or you can hit the number 1 on your keyboard. It's going to make a little dot, and it's stuck to the face of the face shell. Like the face as in the planes, not the actual face. It will stick to anything that's, you know, a 3D object. So make a really like rough, you know, outline. You just do this by holding control and right clicking. Do not let go of control. And that's pretty good. And then you click these two, hit F, bam. Now, this is the important part. You need to make sure that there are the same amount on the inside as the outside. So right here, there's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So you need 12 on the inside. I usually just look here and copy it. So there's one here, so one here. Bam, 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 bam. these two will connect, these points will connect, and then this one will come down here, this one will come down here, over here, over here, over here, and then right there. Now you can select your edges. So select these two, hit F, and you do this by shift clicking. If you didn't catch on already, you may already know that. There. You're probably like, Zach, that looks bad. And it does, because look, I mean, if you hide the outline, it's super blocky. Looks terrible. But that's okay, we're going to fix it. Add a modifier. Subdivision Surface. Put it to a value of 2. You can stick at 1 if your PC's not too beefy. That's okay. Add a modifier. Shrink wrap. For the target, click the Faceshell. And now as you can see, let's not hide those quite yet, but you can see it's smooth now. And what we can do is go back into edit mode, click this button so you can see like the smoothness, and then you want to select this edge and hold shift and E, let go, like just press it, and then drag out. And that's going to make that corner sharp. And then I want to do it a little bit with this corner, but not a lot, because I may not even do it with this corner. I just may move it over. Turn off snapping, because it looks pretty smooth on the actual comics. So yeah, but usually you would do the same thing to this corner. Actually, I kind of like that. And then hold Alt and Shift and click the outside edge and the inside edge and do the same thing. Now you can see everything that needs to be sharp is purple. Now what you do is you can just grab these and kind of drag them around to the right shape that you want. So your outline isn't exactly going to be the same thing as you'll have in the finished product, because this is a lot smoother. But yeah, now you can hide your outlines. And you can see your lens here. Sometimes I hide the Faceshell and add a mirror modifier just so I can kind of see what it looks like without the Faceshell. It's pretty solid, honestly. And what you can do, you can take these, for example, and click Subdivide. And then it'll give you some more points to play with. Like, let's say I want to bring that in. That looks pretty good. So I'm going to do that. And you should rename your stuff. So let's do that now. This is the head. You want this to be your frame. Actually name it frame save, because you always want to have a copy, because you really never know what's going to happen. Same with your shell, because stuff gets messed up and sometimes you'll not have the original, and then you'll be like, damn, I wish I would have saved that. So there we go. So here's our frame. Now, let's add a copy of it. So you hit Shift D. We're going to name that frame. And eventually, if you guys want mid-frames tutorials and stuff like that, I can add that. But right now, we're just doing regular Faceshell. And then we can make a copy of that and name that frame cutout. That's going to be the cutout for the frame, if you couldn't guess. So now as far for the frame, we're going to add a Solidify Modifier. And what that does is you can mess with the values here. I usually do like 3.5 or 4, because the magnets are 2 millimeters. And then choose how indented you want it in your shell. So something like that's probably pretty good. I like that personally. And then what we'll do is grab the cutout, and we need the cutout to be scaled up. So we are going to go to edge mode, select this outside edge, scale it up a little bit. And then obviously we need to fix this corner over here because that doesn't line up. Something like that's pretty good. Almost a little too big. Don't want to give your frames too much room to wiggle around. Or, yeah. If you have screen printed fabrics, even this amount of a cutout may work. If you have really thick fabrics, obviously you can like go up. That's way too much, but I wouldn't go more than like this. Even that's probably too much. But yeah, just, you know, eyeball it. It's not that crazy because the magnets will hold it in place, but the indent also holds it in place more than you think because, you know, it can't move side to side. So that's pretty perfect right there. And then what we want to do is we actually want to take the cutout and add a solidify modifier as well. And set it to the same value for now. But you want to make sure the back, move the offset, the back lines up perfectly. So actually you want to be a little thicker. So you want the back right here to meet up with this. So you can just move it. And if it goes a little past it, it's fine. But yeah. And then you want to actually scale this up the tiniest bit for the cutout, not the frame. And then you can move it to the whatever position you like. But you just want a little space, essentially. Well, actually, no. Don't do that. I'll show you why in a minute. So here we have our shell. And now we need to cut out the eyes. So add modifier, Boolean, difference, fast, and frame cutout. There's a problem. The problem is that we did not apply our shrink wrap modifier. But what you can do to combat this is actually duplicate the shell, because all the modifiers are on this. So we can duplicate the shell and do Faceshell, for example. And then for this, let's get rid of this modifier on shell. And then on Faceshell, we can actually do it over here. So we'll do frame cutout. And as you can see, it's not weird now. And if you hide both of these, well, there's a lot of stuff going on. Okay, finally, we got to it. Once you hide all the stuff blocking it, apparently, you'll see that if you have your frame, there's a cutout for it. That's great. That's exactly what we need. So we are going to hide the frame, and we're going to apply this modifier. So now we need to cut out the eyes, because, I mean, you can't see if the eyes are in the way. So we're going to take this little tool right here. It's called a loop cut. Click and drag until you get pretty close to where you were. Not exact, but, you know. And then hit 2, and then hold Alt, and click this loop right here. These are called edge loops, by the way. So you want this inner edge loop. Hit delete, and then V, or vertices. Hit A, and then P, and then loose parts. And what that does is separate this. So yeah, you can save this if you want to use for like the frame as like a mesh, just, you know, for render purposes. So I'm going to save this. But yeah, and then obviously, I mean, that's not even. So we're going to set the origin to the geometry. Actually, no, because then it won't be even. So we're going to leave it where it was. I mean, we already set the origin to the geometry to begin with when we scaled it. So we're going to hit add modifier, mirror, and then bisect X. Sometimes you may need to hit flip X. It depends what side you do it on. And then you can apply that. And there you go. There is the actual shell part of the shell, you know, the indents. And they're already scaled. So usually you would have to scale this down and then, you know, mess with it afterwards. But this is already, like, scaled right. You can just drop your frame in here and it has the right tolerances and stuff. Now what we need to do is, well, you know, we need to get rid of this back plate. So go click on your shell and go into edit mode. And we're just going to kind of like select all this. Make sure you don't go past this. Like, don't select these over here. But you do want to select the actual cubes right here. So we're going to do that right now. And by the way, you can hit hold control while you click and it'll kind of follow a path like I was doing before. I didn't really say that. Hit delete and then F. And as you can see, it's empty, which is great. Now we can add a modifier, which is Solidify. Hit 2. And as you can see, I mean, we have a few little mess ups right here, but it'll be okay. You can always try to fix those. I don't really care. It should be fine. But yeah, so apply that. And if you don't like this beveled look right here, I personally do. You can hit even thickness. Well, it messes it up in this case, but usually it'll just make them flat. But yeah, so we can apply that. And what we need to do is, see how this has a certain number right there? Like 1.049. Hit Control A and then all transforms. Because when you export it, it'll scale it to 1. So if it was at 1.049, when you export it, it'll be smaller like this. So you don't want that, because then it won't fit your head. Because right now, it fits the head. You need it to fit the head. Or, you know, it won't fit a person. So what we need to do is select these indents. Or just one side, really. Turn off mirror, it just messes stuff up. And then look at it from like a top view, and then kind of drag it back a little, because we obviously need space for the magnets. This is 2 millimeters, and magnets are usually 2 millimeters, so then you would have holes in the back of your shell. That would suck. So add a modifier, and mirror, bisect X, and then you're good. These go back. So bam, we have the shell, we have our frame, and we have the indents. So, I mean, we're really close to being done. So now what we need to do is, we could do magnets or holes. I'm going to show you holes first. So what you do for that, I'm not going to walk you through it for the whole thing because it takes forever. But you take a cylinder, and then you hit S and then Z, and you can scale it up. And then you can scale it up this way, just regular, and then scale it however you like, basically. And then when you're done with that, hit R, X, and then 90. Now what we can do is you can hit G. Well, we can't see it. It's way too long. So scale it on the Y-axis to make it shorter so you can see it in the front view. That's way too big. I like my holes to be about this size. So now what you do is you hit Shift D and duplicate it and kind of move it on these axes till you kind of have like a good pattern going on. So I think you kind of get how that works. It takes a while to really get a nice looking pattern. You can look at the movie shells or anything, and then at the end you select them all. You can change this. I use box, so I can click and drag, and then hit Shift and collect this. Control J, and then all these will be connected. And then we're gonna go get my magic thing. I mean, you don't have this. You're gonna have to make your own. But I've been doing this for a while, so I already have my holes ready. Save your holes, because you're gonna use them a million times. Like this right here, just import it. I can cut it, and it's done. Same thing with your cutout, actually. Right here, you can export this. Save it. Make sure the scale's right. It's all messed up. That always should be 1. Control A once again. All transforms. Export this and have like a Faceshell tools file. And that's where I keep like my, cutout and holes and things like that. And even the base head. You can keep the base head before you make the frames. And then that'll be good. So now let's click add, save. Let's save because we're cutting a lot of holes. Add modifier, Boolean, fast, and then we're going to click these holes over here. Now let's just wait. Alright, you know it's done when you can see the words in here. Now let's hide it. Don't delete it. And look at that. All the holes are cut in the Faceshell. It's going to be a little laggy, but you'll survive. Let's apply that to make the lag go away. You're going to have to wait once again, pretty much the same amount of time. Alright, it is time have some fun. So, what we're about to do is kind of make the frames. Like, make them fun. So, we're going to save this as frame and duplicate it, make another. Because, I mean, you don't want boring frames. Flat's nice, but sometimes you want a little something more. So apply or solidify. Well, we kind of have to apply everything except for the mirror. And then you can go into edit mode. And for example, I'm going to make a beveled one. So I'm going to delete these, or hit Control X actually to dissolve them. Select this and drag it out. Look at that. Doesn't that look nice? I love it. And then what you can do is crease it. And then add another subdivision surface. Turn it up a little. And then look at that. Nice and smooth, just like a facial should be. So I'll probably go with this one for the suit, just because it looks nice. And then I'll show you how to make some other stuff, for example. So we can take this, duplicate it, hide one of them, add another loop cut right next to it, bring it in, and scale it up a little. What's that look like? PS4. You can crease it if you want to make it sharper. I kind of like the curve. So there's PS4. Let's hide that one. And now we can add another. Let's do something a little different this time. Actually, yeah. So once again, we got to apply these. You can't apply modifiers in edit mode, by the way. And yeah, let's dissolve these. And let's do like a smooth, like it goes up and down smoothly. So we do that. And essentially we just don't crease this. And then add your subdivision surface. And look at that. It's nice and smooth. And it has like some dimension, but it's not like, you know, crazy. So yeah, it's kind of hard to get rid of this right here. Because you see how there's like a curve right there. Yeah, it's kind of hard to get rid of it. You can make it less intense. But yeah, you kind of have to make this vertice not connect to this one when you first make your frame. Make it connect to like this one and this one here, and then you won't have that line. It's just because two sharp points are connecting. A problem we're having right now is you can see that this dips in. So hold Alt and click the two corners, and then crease them, and then your points are sharp once again. So I'm going to go with my beveled frames. These are like the PS4 ones. Those are flat. These are the beveled. So I'm going to do that once again to make the corners sharp, because, you know, you don't want lousy, dull corners. It looks unprofessional. And then we have our frames. We have our shell. Oh, which one is it? Faceshell. I remember we renamed it. So let's name this. We can actually select add a new collection. Sorry. And drag it outside of this one. I want to name this Faceshell. Pretty good. And then we'll hit A to select everything in the scene that's visible. And then we can just drag it into the Faceshell folder and then hit this little arrow. And then we can kind of select all this right here. And just drag this in there. Clean things up a bit, make it a little easier. Because this is all we really need right now. So let's apply this subdivision. And yeah. So you notice I'm lagging right now. So what we can do, actually, is it's the face shell with all the holes and stuff. Add a modifier, and it's going to be decimate. You can see it's 174,000 faces. That's a lot. We don't want that. So we're going to hit 0.2 and hit enter. It's going to lag, but just wait. I'll fix it. Yeah. So that is much better, less laggy, and everything, it retains the detail. This looks a little bad right here. Hit shade smooth. And then look, it hides those. So if you have a resin printer and you print the shell on the resin printer, then that might show up, but you can just sand it, it'll be fine. But as you can see, a lot less laggy now. So that may help you if you're having problems. Yeah, so magnets time. So what we're going to do is hide this, because we don't need that right now. We need magnets, and you can't see the magnets if the frame's in the way. So add a cylinder, because, you know, that's what shape a magnet is. And it's already on 2 millimeters, so that's pretty convenient. But we need to change the X and Y value. So you'd think, all right, I have 6 millimeter magnets. Let's just put those in there, and we'll be good to go. That's not true, because 3D printers aren't exactly like that. And if your hole's 6 millimeters and your magnet's 6 millimeters, it's not going to fit. So you need a little wiggle room, just like with the frame. So we're going to do 6.5. Gives more than enough wiggle room. And then, yeah, you can put it right where it goes. And we'll be good. So first, I'm going to do 10.5 here, because I have many types of magnets. Because, you know, I've been doing it so long. But I used to use only 6 millimeter magnets. So just, you know, keep the 0.5 thing in mind, because I've done it before where I've modeled the whole face shell, did my magnets, and then, whoops, I forgot to do the 0.5 and had to restart the whole thing because I didn't have a copy of my shell. Kind of sucks, but, you know, it's life. So it looks like I can get away with using only 10.5s. So you didn't really see what I did there, so we're going to do that again. So we're going to hit Shift D, double tap R, rotate it, while holding Shift to make it rotate slow. You can right click if it messes up like that and it goes back to where it was. And then you have to left click to lock things in. And then you hit G, double tap Z, and that makes it move like this. Obviously you want the face shell to go deeper into the face shell, so hold Shift while you do it. And that'll be good. It won't be perfect because this is a curved surface and this is flat. So yeah. So we'll go with 3 down here, 1, 2, 3, and then we'll add 1 up here. Because 10 millimeter magnets are very strong. It's a centimeter, so you really don't need a lot when it comes to 10 millimeter magnets. With different frame styles, you're going to have to use a variety of 10 to 8 to 6. I use all even number magnets just so I don't have to remember different shapes. I have 7 millimeter magnets, but I didn't order them. It was like an accident by Amazon. And don't be afraid to make your magnets look pretty too, like the orientation of them. Sometimes you'll be like, oh, maybe it'd be nicer if I had some different magnet variation, like, because, you know, that looks pretty bland. But you see what we can do is we can add like an 8.5. The magnet's 8 millimeters, but see that adds a little variation. And then, for example, you could duplicate that and then put it down here. And then here, let's add that, get that in the right spot. And then make this, for example, a 6. Make sure you're typing 6.5 though. Don't let me mess you up. Look at that, that's a lot more variation. So maybe this one down here should also be an 8.5. Variation makes stuff look good. Like, see how my holes are big and small? Don't be afraid to do that with your own shell. And then I have like a uniform pattern in some spots, and then there's random ones over here. But it looks good. So variation is good. Don't be afraid to use it. Alright. We have the magnets, obviously. So we need to select them all. You know, hold Shift. Hit Control J. And that puts them all together. We can hide the shell for now. Now what we need to do is extrude them all to make them 4 millimeters. So what you can do is hit 3 or click this button and extend by hitting E and then 2. And you have to do them all separate or it'll be weird. Like, look, we'll do these at the same time and hit E and then 2. And see, it's not exactly an even thing. There's like a break. So it kind of goes this way and then kind of goes that way. That's not good. It needs to be even. So do each one at its own time. There's ways to do it, but I'm not showing you that because it'll complicate things. So now, I mean, we need it on this side. So add a mirror modifier and click this. Bam! On the other side. Add a modifier, Boolean, difference, fast, select it. What do you know? There's our face shell. As you can see, there's some weird things going on right here. That's because of the decimate modifier. If you want to do that last, that works too. Just so you know. It won't really affect anything though. So we can apply that. And now as far as our frame, let's do the same thing. So it's called cylinder 1. Let's name it magnets to not confuse things. So we're going to add a Boolean, difference fast and magnets. You can just type it in. Where is it at? It's because I have the magnets selected, so it can't use it against itself. So make sure you're selecting your frames. And make sure you're on fast. Unless you're on Blender 3, then it doesn't matter, but all the other Blender's versions are like slower when it comes to the exact. And sometimes it gives me more problems. Alright, so magnets look good. What you want to do now is go into transparent and make sure none of it is too close to the edge, or it won't print. That's not fun. So we're going to apply that. That's good. And now, I mean, you could stop here if you wanted to. Totally fine. But, I mean, that's not really... You need somewhere to glue your mesh. You could glue it flat on the back, but that's no fun. So we're going to take this. And we're going to select one of these little guys. And then we are going to hit Shift-D. Right-click. P. And then Selection. That will give us this loop. Hit A. And then Control-F. And then Grid Fill. And it should fill it. And it did. And then you can kind of mess with these parameters. I'm not going to. It's good enough in my eyes. And then add a... Let's see. That's kind of messed up. But you know what we can do? Shrink wrap it to our Faceshell. Wrong. Nope, not Faceshell. Shell. Look at that. Nice and smooth. That may not always work, though. So I'm going to show you a different way. That is just a quicker way. But here's another way. So we're going to go back, add a plane, and turn that on. A, delete V, same as the frames. And then make sure you're in this one, or you won't be able to see your guy when you add him. So we're going to just add this. Trace it, basically. Because then you can kind of make whatever shape you want. Connect these last two. Or what you can do, select this one, merge vertices, and at last. And there's that. Now what you can do is, same thing, select all, grid fill. That looks a lot nicer, doesn't it? And then you can make this turn up a little. And that's pretty nice. You can mess with this to make it turn around. But, oops. But I think right here looks good. Let's just mess with it. That's probably good. When you click off of it, it'll, you know, apply it. So add modifier. We need it to be the right shape because that's obviously not. Shrink wrap. And we'll do the shell. And this is why you save one of your shells. Because you kind of need that shape. Now we're going to add a subdivision surface because that's really blocky. Turn it up a little. And you're going to want to hide this. And then turn this on. And as you can see, that's round. That doesn't work. So we need to select these two. Go like that. Select these two. And then go like that. And look at that. Nice and sharp. And we're going to apply that. Both of these. Now where's our frame at? Now what we can do is that's pretty much a good thing right here. Where this is at. You can move it forward and backwards if you need to. That's fine. But I'm going to add a modifier and solidify. And then we're going to make it go out. But it's going the wrong way. So you're like, oh dang, did I mess up? No, you didn't. It's fine. Just drag it back, this offset, and it'll push it back. As you can see, that's weird right there. I don't know what's going on. So let's go turn this on, go into edit mode. Try to drag this around a little, just slowly. And that may fix it for you. That looks a lot better. So we're going to hide that. Or we need that. Let's name it mesh cutout. Click this, add modifier, Boolean, fast, bam. Look at that. We have an indent. It's not the cleanest thing in the world because see, it's like messed up right there. But you could always subdivide it just a little bit and then solidify it and then subdivide it more and then it'll be a lot smoother. It's the inside, so it doesn't really matter to me. On my actual face shells that I sell, you know, it's a little better, but you know, it's okay. So let's apply that. And there you go. There's your indent for your mesh. And then from before, we had that little thing called mesh. So let's get that. And let's drag that back in there. And then you can scale it up a little. Set the origin to the geometry. Scale it up. And then that's good right there. Looks like a little, you know, piece of mesh inside the lens. So we're going to add a mirror modifier to that. To the face shell. And drag this into your other folder. Because you don't need this stuff. This is, just name it WIP, work in progress. And then add your facial. And then so now we have the frames, the magnets on both sides, and then you're good. If you want some display magnets, you can always just take these back, delete these faces, delete the vertices, and then maybe we can go mesh, clean up, fill holes, and then 16? And just keep hitting this until it fills that hole. Maybe it won't. Maybe we have to select these. There, did it. And bam, there's your magnets. So, you know, let's put these back. Doesn't need to be perfect. I wish I didn't move them. Actually, I did that thing, so I can just make these into 0. And they'll go exactly where they were. So let's have some fun with this now. Let's go to shading. And now you can add some materials. Make sure this is on object. If you want like a thing like this, the world, you can go to YouTube and just search how to make a HDRI in Blender, and it'll show you. It basically just shows you. You can copy this setup if you want. Yeah, so basically this is putting a texture on the world, and you need to download an HDRI photo off Google and put it in here. So you can just copy this if you want right here. You can just click add and search for each of these. So go back to your object, and what we're going to do is click this. It doesn't have a material. Well, it does, but it's white. So you can just move the color, make it like a grayish color, and then add this. Make them black. And then this right here, the roughness, can make them glossy or rough. So I'm going to make them glossy, and then I'm going to click this, the frame, right click, and click Shade Smooth. And then you can go down here, click Auto Smooth, and it'll keep the corners. Sometimes you got to mess with this value a little, and it'll smooth it out all the way. So there's that. And then you can just get rid of this. New. And then we're going to add we're going to make it glossy so it looks nice. So now we're going to go here and click this button. Cycles is a lot faster in Blender 3, by the way, so I would recommend downloading the newest version of Blender. So here's our face shell. I'm going to turn on a little spotlight to give us some nice shading. So yeah, there's my finished Ditko face shell. I'll be using this on the suit, may remodel it, I don't know. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. If you have any questions, DM me on Instagram. Please don't DM me on YouTube. I don't look at that. Sensational Spidey on Instagram. You probably know who I am if you're watching this video. Or at me in my Discord, and maybe someone else can help you, or I can. Yeah, you can at the 3D modeler role in Discord, and you will be good to go. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoy. I look forward to seeing you on my next video, which will be making the pattern for the suit. Thank you, and have a good day.